It's a quandary that's perplexing.
No, my wife is a transsexual Satan worshiper.
Well, that was weird. With 3 exclamation points.
If there's anything I've learned is that if you ever want to get fingered as being a co-Intel paid shill, government agent, provocateur, inside guy, whatever you want to call it, here's what you do. You get yourself involved in the general realm of the truth movement. You make a name for yourself, and that's all you have to do. Someone will promptly come along and accuse you of those things. Well, I'm certainly not into jumping to those conclusions, so I'm going to back it down and just ask a question about Freeman, aka Freeman Fly. So he's one of these conspiracy exposers and has a lot of interesting things to say about a lot of interesting things. Weaves together very interesting tales. But my issue is he trustworthy? And I don't mean that he says 1 or 2 things or 5 or 20 things that you can actually check out and verify. I mean, all around, is he trustworthy? And the reason that I'm questioning this is, by the way, not that I have to interpret symbolism that he's making with his hands, or point out that his great-great-granddaddy was a Knights Templar, Illuminati Satanist, Zionist, or, whatever. I just let him speak for himself. Okay, so the fact is that he himself admits to, and here's the key, at least at one point in his life, having worked under the auspices of a government agent or an ex-government agent, whereby he stood before crowds of people and claimed to be a Pleiadian, or rather a Plagiaran, in relation to the Billy Meier alien contact case. Okay, so at one point in his life, Freeman would stand before crowds of people and just pull the wool over their eyes. I mean, he would literally be lying to their faces, and I'm sure weaving together quite fascinating tales, as he always does. The question is, has he in the past, or will he now, make a statement to the effect of, you know what, yes, I did that and it was wrong. I was purposefully deceiving people. I shouldn't have done that. It was a mistake. I'm sorry. And it's something I have never done before. I mean, haven't done since and will never do again. I mean, it's the old problem that, as the Talmud states, the punishment for a liar is that no one will believe them even when they tell the truth. So since Freeman admits to having purposefully deceived people, at one point do we say, well, okay, now we can trust him? It makes it really difficult. So when you hear him describing what he was doing, how is that different from what he's doing today? He's before us weaving these tales. So the question is he still deceiving us on purpose or not? And I really don't have an answer. It'd be nice to hear from him about that. And then when I consider things such as that he claims that Barack Obama is a cloned pharaoh, in part because, as per Freeman, Obama looks exactly like the pharaoh. But I can look at pictures of Obama and pictures of various sculptures and paintings of the pharaoh, and they actually look nothing alike. It makes me wonder. I mean, how could he proclaim that they look exactly alike when the exact opposite is true? And what's most disturbing is how many people just follow his lead and say, yeah, they look exactly alike. I mean, exactly. Well, they both have a head, 2 ears, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, etc. But every single feature of their heads and faces are completely different. Different jawbone structures, different chins, different eyes, different nose, different ears. I mean, completely different. But Freeman is somehow able to put a picture before us showing half the face of the Pharaoh and half of Obama and tell us that they look exactly alike. So, bottom line is, I don't know what's going on with Freeman. I don't know what has gone on with Freeman. I don't know what will go on with Freeman. But it would be really nice to hear from him some kind of elucidation of why he once stood before crowds and purposely deceived them under the auspices of a government agent or ex-government agent, claiming to be an alien from outer space, and now would expect us to believe that he's exposing truth. It's something that I think we could only hear from him and then follow up to see whether he appears to be keeping to his claims or not. I mean, it's a real puzzle. It's a real puzzle. So here he is in his own words explaining that which he used to do, and hopefully he'll explain whether he's still doing it, repents of doing it, will no longer do it, or, I mean, who knows what will come of it.
You know, what happened is people suggested to me, hey, did you see how much that Obama looks like Akhenaten? And I went and looked and said, oh my God, this is identical. And everybody's like, okay, Freeman, well, if he's a clone of Akhenaten, why doesn't he have Marfan syndrome, or why doesn't he have a cone head, you know? And lo and behold, if the news didn't suddenly come out, conspiracy theorists theorize on Obama's head scars. So he has these two major scars that you can see now that he's losing all his hair, as if his cone had been reshaped. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it's all in that
I didn't know
article.
about that.
Yeah.
Austin, Texas, where I was at that George Green lecture pretending to be a Palladian or a Plagiarin, whatever you want to call it, because he had just met Billy Meier and the Palladians there and was producing their books. Now, George Green, he was it Jimmy Carter again?
Yeah, Jimmy Carter. I think he was the treasurer's public relations manager.
He was his financial advisor, and he could make $1 billion out of nothing, you know. And he's this huge doomsdayer now, right?
And he lives in Idaho, just so.
Oh yeah. Well, he was producing the books for the Palladians called Handbook for a New Paradigm, and basically giving them away for free, you know, handing them out to everybody. And it was that book that had opened the door. Well, you know, I didn't like the book, honestly. It didn't register with me. Words didn't.
And was this
cohese.
a channeled book from Billy Meier himself?
No, this was from the Palladians themselves, and then published by George Green.
And who was the conduit for the getting the information?
The Palladians. Like, he showed us pictures of them, and that's how I started to pretend to be one, because in their pictures they all kind of look like me with long wild hair, and I was the only one in the group that really looked like what the images of the Palladians look like.
Uh-huh.
And you know, of course, these Palladians supposedly let Billy Meier take all the pictures of the flying saucers and shoot, you know, the ray guns through the tree and
yeah,
stuff.
I've got some very strong opinions on Billy Meier.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, so
But so, you know, here I am at this George Green lecture. He's showing us all the Billy Meier pics, and he's talking about all this and how he, you know, wants to just save the world with the handbook for the new paradigm. Which, strangely enough, I had Scott Stevens on my show talk about weather wars and chemistry. Uh, they found my magical stuff, and in there I had this owl's wing, and
like a full wing that you had actually clipped off the entire wing.
Yeah, yeah. A friend of mine who was a bit of a witchy fellow had found the owl and wanted to do a bit of a ceremony for it, and we did, and and then I lopped off a wing.
And this was a dead owl, obviously.
Yes, long dead owl. Yes. You know, you just find we didn't know it was, you know, as if it was a gift to me, because my friend tried to take the other one and destroyed my ceremonial knife, which I eventually had to get polished and fixed, and which is actually an ancient relic that my grandfather took off a dead Turk.
God, this identical.